Good afternoon, Hattiesburg. Thanks for joining us for this Monday afternoon briefing on COVID-19. Hope everyone had a great weekend. Today we will talk about today's testing numbers. We'll talk about a few deeper insights into some specific metrics. We'll go over the extension of many of the provisions of my last executive order that was signed last night, and then of course our regular act of courage. Today's numbers feature system-wide numbers since the beginning of March for all of our healthcare organizations: Forrest General, Merit Health Wesley, Samurai, and Hattiesburg Clinic. As of this morning, 17,757 tests have been conducted. 1,678 have come back positive. Of course, those are not all active cases, and they're not all in Forrest and Lamar counties. 15,660 have come back negative. We currently have 419 tests which are pending. Right now in the hospital, 41 patients are positive for COVID between Merit Health Wesley and Forrest General. That's about right in line with our average over the past 14 days. In the ICU, these are our most acute patients which require specialty care. We were at 19 between the two hospitals, which are about 2.5 above the average for the past 14 days. When we take a look at this over the past 2 months, we hit some numbers last week that we had not been at before in terms of total hospitalizations, but thankfully those have come down to about where the average is. ICU admissions, of course, peaked about the 18th of May, and those started to fall as well. We've kind of hovered under that 20 mark for the last several weeks. And just a little deeper dive into who's in the ICU right now. Of those 19 cases right now, we have the average age is 61.3 of those people who are in the hospital. Those ages range from 44 on the low end to 85 at the high end. They come from 9 counties. There are multiple patients from Forrest County, Lamar County, Marion County, and Jones County. We did see one additional death today in Lamar County. We want to send our condolences to that family. That brings Lamar County's total to 6. Forrest County has 41. We've seen 4 total deaths for the metro area during the month of June. Some other information I want to kind of draw particular attention to is kind of how these cases are what's the pattern like in the counties surrounding us. We tell you this because a lot of these surrounding counties will end up using our healthcare system if they become overloaded at their own hospital. And so, for example, Jones County, on May 22nd, Jones County actually had fewer cases than Forrest County. We had 462, they had 422. In 3 weeks, that number has shifted dramatically. They've seen an over 100% increase in their cases. They actually have 200 more cases than Forrest County does now. Wayne County, another story like that, has increased 4-fold in the last 3 weeks. Also, Greene County, only 7 patients on May 22nd. That number has increased to 54. And so a lot of these have had higher growth rates in terms of the number of infections than Forrest. Some of them have had lower. And so we kind of tell you this to just so you can see that when cases go up around us, that's also when those hospitals get potentially overwhelmed or need to shift some patients, they will likely come here. And so it's important that we stay the course with the decisions that we're making both personally and collectively to try and make sure that we are putting ourselves in the best position to stay healthy. Right now, Forrest County added about 3 cases today to go to 681. Lamar County stayed at 288, which brings the metro area to 969. I will say that yesterday we did not get new numbers. We're trying to see if the health department is going to continue to run tests on weekends and report on a regular basis on weekends. However, we did have 3 new cases today. I think that as more cases, as the machine starts picking back up this week, that you'll probably see our number of new positive cases go up in the next few days, hopefully by not a whole lot. But just we tend to see a slowdown over the weekend, particularly when there's a day that we kind of skip and that we don't get data for. This is the 5-day rolling average. This takes the number of new positive cases and averages it with the 2 days prior and the 2 days after, which kind of tend to show a little bit more consistent trend line. Forrest County's 5-day average has come down to under 10. Lamar County's is around 5. We'll see where that goes tomorrow when more tests come in. We also look at the number of new positive cases in the past 14 days because this disease tends to run its course within 14 days or fewer unless there's an adverse reaction. The 14-day window, the inside 14-day positive diagnosis, kind of tells you how many potentially active cases you have in your community. And right now that number stands at 128 in Forrest County. And in Lamar County, it stands at 53. And so here's how that lays out over the last 2 months. Of course, you can see that we kind of hit this really big peak around the 3rd week of May. The total metro area total got up to 250, 200 in Forrest, 50 in Lamar. That number has fallen and then kind of went up a little bit last week and has come back down. We hope that we can keep that Forrest County total under 150 and that Lamar County at 50 or under, because ultimately fewer infections helps us with our goals. And those goals are protect vulnerable populations, people over the age of 60, people with underlying or chronic health conditions. The fewer people that we have running around with inactive cases means it's less likely that someone that could have an adverse reaction gets infected, which means when you have fewer people in vulnerable populations getting COVID, that means that there's a greater likelihood of avoiding overrunning our healthcare system by slowing the spread. And of course, we want to continue prioritizing public health while we give the private sector the space it needs to operate. We continue to lean on 4 factors as we reopen: the widespread availability of testing, the wearing of masks, watching our own data, and of course listening to all voices with whom these decisions affect. Today, Executive Order 2020-10 took effect. It is very similar to the last executive order that I signed. It does update some language to reflect Governor Reeves' extension of the safe return order that goes through June 29th. It increases some retail occupancy limits, and there's a continued requirement for masks at retail stores by customers and for all business employees. I can't stress enough how important it is that we continue to stay the course when it goes to masks. You can see the communities around us. That slide I just showed about how many cases that places like Jones County and Wayne County and Greene County are getting. The more that we continue to wear our masks, I think the safer we're going to be and the safer we're going to keep each other. And finally, our regular act of courage. For the class of 2020, this has been a very unusual senior year. And I know that there are many traditions that classes before you, and maybe older siblings and friends and parents, were able to engage in that you were not, and that you were robbed a little bit of that. And we want you to know that despite how uncommon this season has been, we are proud of you. We are proud of the fortitude and the perseverance you've shown, particularly during these last 3 months. I know that graduation seasons are all around us, and everyone's doing kind of innovative graduations right now. Hattiesburg Highs is next week. PCS was last Friday. Sacred Heart was several weeks ago in Oak Grove, and the Lamar County schools have tried to do different things as well. But regardless, we want to make sure that this week is about you. And so the hashtag HBurgGrad, you'll see these yard signs popping up at businesses around our city. That's to celebrate you, to let you know how proud we are of you. And so later this week, you'll see community leaders giving advice and giving their congratulatory messages to our class, our seniors. You'll also see some other innovative celebrations that we'll be doing for our graduates. And we want you to know that we're proud of you, regardless of how the last 3 months have gone. We hope that go get in your training, going into the military, going to get a degree, whatever that is, go see the world, but then come back to Hattiesburg and help us make this place a little bit better. And as we start the week, remember to wash your hands, take care of yourself mentally and physically. Please wear a mask if you go out in public. Do only what is essential. Remember, you're safer at home. Have a great start to the week.